listening to Peak One Sports.
Welcome to the Bungalow Fight Show. We're back together again. Alexis, commendable job on your solo episode last week.
Thanks.
Everybody seemed to think you did a fantastic job. It's hard doing podcasts alone, right?
Yeah, especially when you are used to doing them back and forth or something like that.
Well, yeah, because even if like yesterday, for example, I did a Bungalow sports show with Clay in here, and for most of the time he didn't say much until we got to football talk, and but just having someone in here to look at while I'm ranting and kind of throw my ideas at, it's a lot easier than just having no one in here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something about it. But
yeah,
anyways,
totally...
we're all about getting you guys content. So Alexis helped me out last week. I had a pretty stupid schedule last week trying to catch up on a lot of work stuff, and we still got it out. But this episode of the show, as all of our episodes, are brought to you by Betalytics. Go to Betalytics.com, make a profile, use promo code PEAK1, get 25% off. They'll help you with betting on football. Football season is here. Football betting season is here, which usually means it's football bet losing season for yours truly. This weekend, I like to say, this weekend was a weekend of, it should have been successful. I had a 7-leg parlay and everything hit except for the goddamn Seahawks. I went against my Rams because I just thought the Seahawks were going to come out of the gate like they ended last season, and the Rams are just really looking, on paper, they were looking real shitty, and they didn't have their best wide receiver, and blah, blah, blah. So I said, you know what, in this one, I'm going to go Seahawks, and everything hit except for those damn chicken hawks. And if I'd have used Betalytics, maybe they would have swayed me against that. Probably not, because most everybody thought the Seahawks should have won that game. But no matter. Go to Betalytics. They've got all the info you need to make educated bets and, try to make some money this football season and don't look like a jackass like me. But as far as the MMA world goes, we had our second live show on Saturday for UFC 293. Alexis had some surprise guests at his home, so he wasn't able to stream in to the show. So we had a replacement with my buddy Marcus, and he doesn't know anything about fighting or really any sports, but he's a lovely gentleman. So we ate tacos, we watched fights.
That just would have been kind of weird on my end, just in the other room with headphones.
Oh yeah.
My setup, it would be like, this guy's weird.
It'd have been that would have been very unadult of you. You know what I mean?
I don't know. So I think it would have been almost on par as someone really into gaming, where it's I have to game right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Enjoy your charcuterie board. I need to go play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Right. We might as well get into it because there's no way around it. We did watch UFC 293.
Yeah.
And new middleweight champion of the world, Sean Strickland, shocks the world, dude. And
absolutely amazing, dude.
He shocked everybody but Alexis. We'll get to that in a moment. But as far as the whole, before we get into what was the main event, the whole card as a whole, the card as a whole was very entertaining, and the main card specifically, what we were streaming on, or which we were live streaming with, it went out to the third fight before we even had a second round. You know what I mean? So it was knockout, and then a freaking banger of a flyweight fight, and then a demolishing of Tai Tuivasa by Volkov, which was still a entertaining fight to watch because I won't say entertaining. I'll say with the UFC and MMA, a real banger of a fight can verge on entertaining to uncomfortable, and I always harken back to the Cain Velasquez, Antonio Bigfoot Silva fight where you're just like,
like, oh no.
And that's what that Volkov Tuivasa fight kind of was getting towards, was like, please just choke him out. Just choke him out. Like, and Volkov did. He put that Ezekiel choke on him. And
like that Tai Tuivasa fight, man, made me realize that, like, I don't know, Volkov, like, it was something where I was like, it was always there. Like, I knew it, but I still went against it because, like, I was like, it's an Australian card.
The Australian card. Tuivasa's on a little bit of a run. Every time you think Volkov's going to make the jump, he gets beat by somebody. So it's kind of like, at the beginning of that fight, it was a toss-up, you know what I mean? And we went with the hometown guy. But then once you saw how it played out, you're like, oh, of course that's how it played out. You know what I mean? Because when you see the sheer size difference in height and reach, then you're like, as soon as that fight started and you saw Volkov using his distance perfectly, you were like, oh, Tuivasa can literally only win this with an overhand right because that's all that's going to reach him. You know what I mean? And Volkov is too much of a veteran to probably get caught with that. You know what I mean? And,
yeah, that's true.
And he used his distance and he pieced him up and took him down and knocked him down and then choked him out.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've watched Volkov in Bellator, and he's, besides like him going up against Tom Aspinall in that last minute knockout from Derek Lewis, like he's been holding himself pretty well. He did lose to Cyril Gane, but I don't know. It's kind of weird to see where he's gonna go next because like everybody in the top 4 has beaten him already.
Well, and it just kind of, it's one of those things where like Tuivasa, again, the guy that kind of goes on runs and then gets beat up a couple times, and then so he's going to be one of those gatekeeper type heavyweights. And heavyweight's always been that kind of a weight class, you know what I mean, where the big punchers end up just being kind of the gatekeepers, because it's gotten to a point now where the big guys are so well rounded. And once Volkov gets in another top 5 or top 3 fight, he's probably going to lose again, you know?
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Or he could definitely do it, but I don't think he's in a...
If he looks like he did the other night, I mean, he can stay in there, but, I mean, I don't know if it was him looking fantastic or Tuivasa just not being able to handle the reach.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to fight Sergey because they're teammates, but I don't know how that would go.
Yeah. Well, I think Spivak and Aspinall are looking to fight again, right? Or not again.
It'll be Cyril Gane, right?
Oh, that's right, because Cyril Gane won. That's right. Yeah, we'll see what the landscape goes there, but let's talk about the main event, dude.
I've honestly been on this fight since it was rumored. I don't know, like we've talked back and forth, like we didn't mention it much on the podcast, like little tidbits and stuff like that, but like over the past 2 months or whatever, like we've been talking about this fight.
Oh yeah,
on it. I've been talking about it to other friends, and like I gotten the responses of like, yeah, so what about that fight? Like, Izzy's gonna win, and I was like, okay, okay. Yeah, I felt like there was something about this fight that's intriguing, because not like anybody else has faced Izzy, like the constant forward pressure of Sean Strickland, and the way I broke down last week on how Izzy lost the 2 fights, like with the one in Glory against Alex Pereira and the one in UFC, is where Alex cut off the distance and landed. And that's how he won the fight. Right. And I was like, and Sean Strickland is pressure, and he smothers your distance. Right. All the time. And I was like, that is, I want to see how that looks like.
Right. And, I think, well, obviously, Izzy being Izzy and just the crowd pleaser and whatever he is, and people love the guy, and he's he's an outstanding striker. But the thing is I think a lot of what was playing against Sean Strickland and people either just not liking him as a person, I think played a lot into it. you know, and I think that's kind of what was kind of promoting this fight. I talked about it a lot, is that the UFC obviously didn't want to make this fight.
Yeah.
And all they had left was Sean Strickland, this guy's an asshole, and Izzy's the black guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And that's unfair. You know what I mean? At this point, you know, looking back on all that, that's an unfair take on it. But I think that Alex Bahia versus Sean Strickland fight was really setting in everybody's mind, because obviously Izzy just knocked out Alex. And then before the Izzy fight, Alex knocked out Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland fought that fight pretty dumb. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it was the pressure and just coming forward that kind of ended that night for him. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and so I think the changing, not necessarily, he didn't really change his style. He still kept the pressure, but just being much more intelligent with the way he was using the pressure.
Yeah.
I don't think people thought that was going to happen. I thought it was going to be, you know, people thought it was mostly going to be Sean just coming out trying to turn it into a brawl and then getting caught with a counter shot and knocked out. And yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Go
no.
ahead. I think that the biggest change I think it's very subtle, but he pretty much fought the way he usually does. It's just that when he gets in the range, instead of standing straight on and square, he would turn his body just a bit.
Right.
And that's where you saw, like,
It was just
once
slick.
he got in,
It was slick.
got in range, there's a little slight turn, and that made the difference.
It made all the difference. And then obviously Izzy had a real leg kick heavy game plan, right? Because Sean Strickland usually just stands there and his legs are straight, but he was checking every kick. He was rolling with the kicks, almost like he was rolling with the punches. You know, like it was just a defensive masterpiece. Like, to be honest, like it was just, people are trying to downplay it a little bit with whatever Izzy had a down night or whatever, but I don't. It wasn't that at all. Sean Strickland wasn't letting him get off. You know what I mean? And Izzy's a big, I think at least, he's a big confidence guy, right? And it's like he needs to land some pot shots. He needs to land some slick counter shots and land what he wants to land for him to be able to, carry that momentum throughout the fight. And Sean, just from the very beginning, and also Sean having a knockdown in the first round, I think killed all the momentum, you know? And then, everything after that, it was Sean Strickland defensive, being perfect defensively, and then just using the basic 1-2, a jab and a straight right, and just piecing him up. You know what I mean? And dodge, and then kind of using Izzy's counter shots against him. You know, he was countering the counters,
Yeah, and I thought it was awesome. Like, he checked the first kick, and dude, I watched the fight I think 7 times at this point now. And he checked the first kick, he threw another kick, and Sean caught it, and right there is where you saw a little change in the stature of Izzy.
Right.
Or oh shit, because Izzy's this amazing striker that not only is he super accurate, but the way he times his strikes, he'll throw quick straight shots, right? But then he'll use his posturing and his feints. So he'll feint, set something up, posture like he's gonna hit, and then throw the strike to delay it, to get you off guard. Right. He did all of that, and Sean stayed right there.
He didn't bite on any of it.
Everything. And he it was, and I don't know, I'm not some amazing analyst or anything like that, but that I said that's what he should do, is let him throw,
right,
and get him to think he's just like everybody else who's faced me, right, it has no chance. And Sean Strickland beat him with 3 weapons, dude. A push kick, a jab, and a cross.
And I think a lot of the UFC didn't want to make this fight, but then Izzy's like, oh, I'll make short work of it, just make the fight. And then Izzy, obviously seeing how he was literally obliterated by Alex Bahia, was just like, well, I'm just going to go do the same thing. You know what I mean? And I can't remember if the Strickland Bahia fight was short notice, but it was one of those fights where I don't know what Sean was thinking in that one. I don't know how his mindset changed from that fight to this one or whatever.
I think I think this fight was more short notice than the Alex Pereira fight.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Or along the same lines, whatever.
And the thing about Sean Strickland, like unless he fights a big time wrestler, which at the top of 185, who's the big time wrestler? I don't know if there is one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he fights everybody like that, I don't see people beating him. Like, because if a striker like Izzy can't beat that straight up, he boxed him. He blocked. Yeah. He rolled with his leg kicks, checked his leg kicks, and then boxed him. And
meat and potatoes, man.
That's it. And if he does that to everybody else, nobody else has the counter. Pereira's went up a weight class, so it's like now you've got guys at the top. You've got Whitaker. You've got all these guys that are going to go out there and box him, and they're not going to beat that. If Izzy can't beat that, they're not going to beat that. So it's pretty interesting to see. I mean, I think right now the biggest shot at him is Drakus, right? I mean, Drakus is well-rounded enough that he can do some boxing, do some wrestling, do all of it, and then make it a tough grind type of fight, which we know Sean Strickland also shines in. So I don't even really see Drakus having an advantage there. I still see that as a very evenly matched fight, even if it goes the distance, if it turns into a grapple, dirty boxing fest. Sean's, that's his type of fight too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because up until now, the fight he fought against Izzy wasn't his type of fight. We've never seen him really fight we've seen him do that at points in fights, that Philly shell, standing up straight type of shit, but it always ends up being a brawl or some kind of a dirty, nasty fight. You know what I mean? This time it was clean, crisp, untouched.
Yeah.
And Drakus doesn't have that type of boxing or that type of kickboxing. He's a throwing wild, crazy shit that might get him knocked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Strickland fights the same fight. So, hats off to Sean. Crocodile Dundee hat off to Sean Strickland. That was a freaking masterpiece. And Alexis called it live on the live stream. All my bets were shot. And he said right in there, Sean Strickland is going to surprise everyone. Sean Strickland with a decision, and I made that panic bet, and boy, did it literally paid for all my losses for the day. It made me break even to what I started the day with. I put $20 on Sean Strickland to win by decision, and no, if I'd have put 20, I'd have been in the money. I put 5 on Sean to win by decision, and it won me like $60 or whatever like that, because it was plus 1,200 or some shit. So thank you, Alexis. I appreciate that.
No worries, man.
It gave me the chance to lose money on football.
So that was weird. Like, so this card, like looking through it, I was like already like, because like we went heavy with the Australian and New Zealanders. I was already like thinking about how to like come on this podcast saying like we had a good night, like, and like saying like this was pretty easy to like, to look at, because like, hometown people, they're gonna show up. That didn't really happen.
Dude, the crowd was pro Strickland even possibly before the fight even started. He might have had more fans. But people are forgetting is they're in Australia, and Izzy is from New Zealand, and they historically aren't fans of each other. So I don't know why people think it's going to be straight up an Izzy arena, because it's like he's from another island, and they don't necessarily like each other that much. So
and I can see that. And there's like a bunch of things like, like you look at them stylistically, like there's they don't match up well, like it's all in Izzy's favor,
right?
But when you looked at the stats, which was insane, that Sean Strickland was the way more accurate fighter,
right? It's nuts,
like by far, like over Izzy,
right?
And I don't know, thinking about that fight, just keep thinking, like I went with the public. We picked Adesanya to win on our actual picks. Right. But like I kept thinking about that fight, because I was like, there's something about this that's like eating at me. Right.
And it was Sean Strickland.
It was Sean Strickland, dude.
Well, and you know what, dude, is me, I'm a sucker for a backstory, and you never, up until he got a title shot and got a chance to do tons of in-depth interviews with people leading up to this, you just thought Sean Strickland was just some white trash asshole who says crazy shit, which I guess technically he is. But then when you hear the guy's backstory, it's like, just because he's a white guy from California doesn't mean he can't have a fucked up backstory and everybody can get in on it just like they do with any other. I don't want to make it a racial thing, but it seems like people like to tend to. All the black guys get to have sad sob stories, and the Brazilians from the favelas get to have sad sob stories that people buy into. So it's like, this guy had the most fucked up childhood of anybody that's ever fought in the UFC. You know what I mean? And it's like, to come from where he came from and now to get where he's at, and he's not a super athlete. He can't jump out of the fucking cage. He can't, you know what I mean? Like, and just putting in hard work and being an intelligent fighter, he won the damn title from what people were calling the best middleweight of all time up until this point. You know what I mean? And like, it's just a cool story if you go back and look into it. And I'm just as guilty as anyone else, so I'll eat crow when I say, you know, not that I wasn't a Sean Strickland fan of his fights, but like as a person, I didn't know a lot about him except for some of the shitty stuff he says about whatever women or about America and social shit like that. But that's everybody's opinion. That's people's opinion, and I shouldn't buy into that. Let me see an interview where people ask him actual questions and it's not just him firing off tweets. And then once you get that, you watch the interview he had with Daniel Cormier and some of the stuff Cormier was talking about and stuff. And it's just like, it's a great story, just like any other story, rags to riches type thing. And I think if the UFC plays on that, which I hope they do, probably won't, right? Because they didn't want him to win the damn thing in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think they could deny the fact that he viewed Sean O'Malley in views.
Right. They can't. Right. I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, like no one saw it coming. Like for him to actually be like super relatable.
Right.
Was like, you know, like something out of left field.
Right.
But,
well, and here's the thing too, is like when you look at the history of the list of greatest UFC upsets of all time, right? You've got Matt Serra, GSP. You've got Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, right? And those were spectacular head kick knockouts, right? And it was just a big explosion. Yeah. So I think people aren't giving this one as much credit, but it's like, odds-wise, just as big of an upset as anything else. Yeah. But those ones were one-shot knockouts. This one was a masterful 5-round performance. You know what I'm saying? And like, at the time that GSP got knocked out by Matt Serra, he was one of the greats, but he wasn't the greatest yet. You know what I'm saying? Rousey, because of that knockout and then subsequent fights, we realized maybe she was never the greatest, right? It just took, it was like Royce Gracie tapping everybody out. The women's division hadn't caught up to her armbar yet. You know what I'm saying?
First
so it's like
the dance, you know?
Right. So with those two knockouts and being, you know, some of the biggest upsets of all time, yes, they were big, giant upsets, but this is the biggest by far for me. One, because of the odds factor. Two, because people had crowned Izzy, passed the torch from Anderson to Izzy as the best middleweight. You know what I mean? Things like that. And then also the performance that he put on wasn't just I caught him with a knockout. It was, this guy stood no chance. Yeah. In all 5 rounds for 25 minutes, there was not a moment where you thought, "Oh shit, Izzy's coming back." You know what I mean? Like, no.
It was like, "Oh, there's a good hit," and then like, where's the rest of it?
No, nothing. And even the ones where Izzy landed something, I mean, go back and look. There might have been 2 punches that were hard and could be considered good shots that Strickland didn't roll with. You know what I mean? Yeah, he got clipped a couple times, but 90% of them, he was rolling with it, so it wasn't going to do any damage. You know what I mean? Yeah, Izzy got through, but it was so perfect. It was literally one of the most perfect fights.
Yeah, it wasn't even like where he like stunned him. We're like, "Oh shit, Sean's hurt." Like, Sean, like besides the first knockdown, stumbled Izzy twice in the other couple rounds.
Right, right. It was perfect. It was perfect. It couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah. And like, like I've been listening to other podcasts. Like, I've just been obsessed. Like, it was like something of this magnitude. Like, listening to other podcasts and like immediately like discrediting like Adesanya. Like, is he too active? Like, and overtrained? Like, dude, like Izzy showed up. Izzy, like the fact the aura that comes with from Izzy is that he is active,
Right.
and that he's always fighting,
Right.
and everybody sees, and that what brings like the aura and like the whole like intimidation factor of everybody else who comes up to fight him, because like he's always fighting. Like there's always something new from
and
him.
Other than Alex Pereira and Jan Blachowicz, he's fucking whooped everybody's ass. You know what I mean? I mean, he had a tough fight against Kelvin Gastelum, but he still won that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was early. But other than that, this being active, the way he fights, all this stuff has worked out to a T. So to say that it was Izzy, whatever, making it, downplaying his performance rather than saying Sean Strickland just figured it out is bullshit. You know what I mean? And Izzy being a fucking little baby and not talking at the press conference, like all this stuff, like what's all that about? Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I wish I would wanted to hear from him, like, because like
he had no answer. That's why.
If he would have said something along the lines like, I'm really active, like this stuff happens,
Yeah.
And it's happened before, like in like kickboxing,
right,
and this and that, like then it would have been like, all right, that's someone in
right?
The six ranked guy does have something for the champion that the champion's not going to be able to do.
And I think a lot of that was just he didn't know what to say, because I don't think he knew what the fuck happened. He was just like, what the fuck? Because in the fight he looked confused,
dude. Even his corner, like after that first round, they're like, whoa.
Yeah, everybody was confused. And Eric Nixick is goddamn. I mean, got my vote right now for best coach of all time, just with the amount of success he's had with fighters since he's, become a big name coach. And his in-between round advice for Sean Strickland was perfect. Like, wasn't ever saying, oh, you're blowing him out. He kept saying, hey, like after the second round when Izzy was landing a few more leg kicks and stuff like that, he was like, hey, you fight 3 more rounds like that, we're going to lose, because he's going to win that fight. Like, don't let him get those leg kicks off, because if this fight isn't a finish, and that's what I was saying on the live stream after that second round, I was like, shit. I was like, if that happens for another couple rounds, Izzy's going to win off points, just because it's not like Sean was overwhelming him with strike numbers. But if, you know how fucking judges are, and if the fight, that fight was a defensive masterpiece with that 1-2 that he was landing on Izzy, but if Izzy lands 100 fucking leg kicks, it's just, you never know what you never know what it's going to look like in the judge's eyes, and that was perfect. And what did Sean Strickland do? He came out and started throwing more of those 1-2s to kind of, and then checking all the kicks. You know what I mean? Making sure to check more of the kicks than he was, because second round he was not necessarily checking them; he was taking them. They weren't really causing much damage. Yeah. But then from then on, he made sure to show everybody he was making an effort to show, like, look, I'm checking it. Look, I'm checking it. Yeah. Kind of a thing, which, again, just a perfect performance. Our picks, we were 4-4, 2-3 on props, which is, I mean, people could say what they want to say. We had a little joker on our TikTok asking what our record was. We're 31-17 right now. We are far over 500. So, and everybody knows in sports betting, if you're 500 or a little bit above, you are a success, my friend. And
we're not even counting the prop bets, and like no. Literally, if you go, you don't like. So most of those prop bets they're all plus money, right? Like, so like if you get 2 out of 3. You're on top.
Yeah, we're not counting our money that we've won or lost. You know what I mean? We're just in our 31-17. We're just counting our money line bets, and that's pretty damn sassy. All right, moving on. We've had the change of hands in titles. What about we got Colby Covington, Leon Edwards coming up? You think Colby's gonna take this one?
Dude, Colby's gonna mop him, dude. And like I feel like, okay, so if you look at Sean Strickland and Colby, like they both face the same hate, but Colby's this, like it was an act, and Sean, it's real, it's legitimate, like like you just like, holy fuck, like, but and even Izzy says like to bring it back a little bit, like even Izzy and Sean Strickland are pretty much the same personality, just on different spectrums. Right. They both say stuff that were like, what the fuck?
Right. Right.
But anyways, like Colby Covington, dude, like won me over with his first loss to Kamaru Usman, dude. Like,
Right.
Him showing that he was that good, and yeah, I feel like Leon's good. Takedown defense is good. Like, but Colby's striking is decent.
And his chain wrestling, you block that takedown, move into this, move into that. Kamaru doesn't have that. Kamaru, with his wrestling, like Usman, if he doesn't take you down, you're going into the fence, and you guys are going to battle it out, and Leon Edwards can stand back up, or get back to a standing fight. When you're going against Colby, he's not giving up on the takedown once he goes for it. You know what I mean? And I don't think Leon Edwards can. He might be able to block the first takedown attempt, but when he chains it into the double leg, to a single leg, to a trip, he can't do it three times in a row in one series. And he's going to the ground, and Colby Covington's just a freaking fantastic wrestler. Like, there's all there is to it.
And he has a chin on him, dude. Like, I mean,
of course,
Usman TK'd him, but his jaw was broken. Masvidal knocked him on his ass, and he still won that fight.
I think Colby goes out there and starts the wrestling from the very beginning, and that's going to keep him from getting caught with something like that.
As he should, dude. As a lot of people who have that, like, if that's your strong suit and going in, like, regardless of, like, you know, and like saying, like, going back to the Strickland and Adesanya fight, like, the Strickland did what he did best.
Right.
Like, he did what got him to the dance, and that's what won him the fight.
Right.
So, like, why wouldn't Colby do the same?
He will. Colby's not a guy. He's got his persona and everything out there, but he's also, when it comes down to the fight, he's not a guy who will deviate because he thinks, we need to get into a dogfight right now. No, he knows where his bread is buttered, and he needs that belt. He wants that belt. He needs that belt at this point in his career. If he doesn't win this one, he's not going to get another shot. Like, it's very unlikely. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, how many shots do you? Joseph Benavidez got quite a few. But you know what I'm saying? So there's a few guys that are just undeniable. If you keep beating the top-ranked guys, they can't really keep it from you. But I think this spells victory for Colby coming up because, just the amount of wrestling that Usman had, he was able to kind of keep it more even. Leon Edwards doesn't have that. But. All right. Should we talk about Joey and his constant jabber jawing about not winning any bets when he bets on our picks, because he's at this point he's just a liar.
Well, if you looked at his choices during the live podcast, where like, I'm just taking all dogs, like
he and I don't know if that's an act where he's just trying to constantly go in. If you guys watch this show and don't watch Bungalow Sports Show, Joseph is my co-host, and he's a impressionable young boy, and he's a freaking know-it-all. All right. And he likes to just go against me. And when my picks are Alexis's picks, Joey, that's not a good plan, because my boy Alexis obviously knows what's up. That's why my panic bet has paid off 2 weeks in a row. Okay? So Joey, on this next show, I'm going to make him some humble pie, and I'm going to smash it right in his face the next episode of the Bungalow Sports Show. I'm going to have a whole segment dedicated to all the bets we have won and all the picks we were correct on. Because for him to say that I've been following them, I haven't won any money. It's like, well, what are you doing? You're doing something wrong, because you can't be following us, because we're 33 or 31-17, bitch. Like, we're up money.
Yeah, like even thinking about that, like, dude, that fucking card was brutal. Yeah,
right.
Last card was fucking brutal, man.
It was.
And I think it solidified me, like, even looking into like the main event the way I looked into it. I was like, all right, man, like I've been thinking about this way too much. And I was like, all right, like everything's pointing like, and how can he win? Like literally in that, probably like the hour that I was like panicking, I was like, how can he win? I was like, he could definitely win by decision.
Right. No, it worked out. So Joey, eat a bag of dicks. All right, dude, let's talk about what we got coming up. We coming up this weekend, UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Shevchenko 2.
They're crowning it Noche UFC.
Noche UFC. Did you see Alexa Grasso's custom
Dude,
belt?
That's pretty cool.
It's freaking sick, dude. All those colors on there. It's very Dia de los Muertos kind of just super, just very colorful.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to this one because we get to see if it was just a fluke, a speed bump for Shevchenko, or if Grasso is really who we think she is, and I think she is who we think she is.
I also think she has it, man. Like, I've been high on Valentina, but I've been like watching Alexa Grasso since she was in Victa,
Right?
like following her career. And I've always been a fan of this girl.
And, Shevchenko she's been, the GOAT for the last few years. And it's like, but there's always a change. We saw a change this last weekend. And Grasso obviously upset her already once. And this time I don't think it's going to be an upset. I'm sure Grasso's probably still the dog in this one.
She is. She's still the dog.
Just because people just think Valentina is virtually unstoppable, but it's like she ain't. Amanda Nunes had the answer for her, and now Alexa Grasso I think still has the answer. But let's start at the bottom here of these prelims. We got, of course, our first fight, women's strawweight. We've got a silhouette. We've got Josephine Knudsen versus Marnik Mann. I don't know who either of these ladies are, and
I know a lot about Josephine Knudsen. She was on the Contender Series.
Oh, that's right. Okay. No, I remember.
She's a fighter out of Holland. Like, amazing striking skills. Like, dude, she should. And I think this is Marnik Mann is a late replacement.
Now. She's 0-1 in MMA.
Knudsen had a dominating performance on Contender Series,
right?
But she didn't get a contract. So and she's now fighting in the UFC for a UFC Fight Night. So
right,
this is great for her. I wonder if she got like a better deal than like the 10-10 that they give you,
right?
But Josephine Knudsen should walk through. Probably finish. I don't know, but like honestly, like, dude, Knudsen is an amazing striker. So
yeah, I think that's probably a shoe in there with it being the late replacement. Knudsen not getting the contract, and now she's got to fight, so she's definitely got a chip on her shoulder and something to prove, and she's got the striking skills to prove it. So moving on, lightweight bout, Natan Levy versus Alex Reyes. I'm a Natan Levy fan. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm pro-Israel. You guys have to guess. Am I pro-Israel or pro-Palestine? They don't have enough. We got a lot of Israeli fighters now. They need to get some Palestinian fighters up against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Natan Levy withdrew.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he
the
withdrew.
UFC needs to update his site.
So
do they have a replacement? Or are they?
Yeah, Charlie Campbell
versus Alex Reyes.
Okay. Here's the thing about this fight. Like, Alex Reyes hasn't been active for the past 6 years.
6 years.
And 6 years, dude. Like, he had like a spinal injury.
Oh, okay. Like Nate Quarry style.
And this dude, who is it? Charlie Campbell. This is his like last minute replacement. First fight in the UFC. So last win he had was by punches, but the CFFC,
right? Canadian
Fight League, or So I would stay away.
This one's got too many ifs going on about it. You got a guy coming off a 6-year spinal injury layoff, and then a late replacement.
But I would say, man, Charlie Campbell's nickname, the Cannibal, is pretty fucking brutal.
If you're like me and you like to bet on nicknames, bet on the Cannibal.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Another women's flyweight bout. A couple of women's fighters that I like to watch. This is Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasdavicius. Both coming off wins. Cortez holding on tight to a 10-1 record, which is pretty sweet in the women's flyweight. It's kind of a crapshoot sometimes in those fights, as my betting history will tell you. I don't have a lot of success betting on women's MMA, but I think this one could have some fireworks going on in it. I think. What do you think about these two ladies?
I'm gonna fade Cortez, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cortez has been. So if you look at their schedule, Jasmine Jasudavicius.
Yeah. Jazdavicius.
Jazdavicius. I'll just call her Jasmine right now. You know.
Yeah, Jasmine. Jasmine versus Tracy.
Okay, so
they're both
Tracy Cortez
and they're both decision machines. So yeah.
Tracy Cortez had an actual like step up in competition in Amanda Ribas.
Yeah.
But that fight got canceled, and Jasmine beat Miranda Maverick,
which is a big deal.
UFC Canada. So that is super huge, and I think Maverick would give Tracy Cortez a run for her money.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna fade Canada this time.
No, I think I'm with you on that one. I think Jasmine can take this because I think she's also got the grappling pedigree too over her. I mean, they're both so evenly matched in all aspects. I'm just looking at their percentages, like takedown average 2.8 versus 2.2, takedown accuracy 48 versus 44, takedown defense 71 versus 78. So it's just like, and like I said, they're decision machines. This is going to a decision. But I say fade Tracy on that one. Next up, we got men's flyweight. We've got Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda. What do you think about these little guys? Both coming off losses.
Yeah, they're both coming off losses, but Lacerda has a lot more losses that I think he's in like show up or cut territory. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 losses.
Right.
4 losses. Yeah. Last one, CJ Vergara. I mean,
and
CJ Vergara is a beast, but
even though it's in Las Vegas, this is UFC Noche or Noche UFC, and Edgar Chairez is straight out of Mexico. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is gonna be a big. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Chairez in this one because I think Lacerda. I think this is he's getting cut after this one.
Yeah, Chairez has a little more success.
Again, very
honestly,
evenly matched.
Just for the sake of like picking a side, it'd be Chairez for me. I'd stay away from this one too.
Right. I'm looking at some of their stats here. Again, dude, these guys are like Lacerda has like he throws more strikes. And he's got 2.2 knockdown average per fight. But I think he's gone after this one. You've had your chances, Daniel.
Yeah. It's very hard to knock out those Mexicans, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just thinking. I didn't want to say something racial.
Those are my people.
But if you're gonna fight a Mexican guy in a parking lot, don't even bother throwing punches. Just leg kick him, okay? Because you're gonna break your hand, and then he's gonna annihilate you.
Dude, they'll be concussed and still throw at you. So
right. All right, moving on. Middleweight bout: Roman Kopylov versus Josh Fremd. Both coming off wins. Josh Fremd definitely got the height, 6'4" versus 6 foot. What do you think, man? Same reach though, same leg reach.
Yeah. So Josh Fremd, we did pick him to win a couple fight cards ago. Like, this is a quick turnaround for him.
Right.
He missed weight, but it still ended up like winning the fight, but not like impressively.
Right.
And Roman Kopylov, dude,
he's a damn knockout machine, dude. So
I'm going Kopylov.
I'm totally with you on that one. I have a hard time He's got to climb the ranks for me to bet against him. Once he gets into the top 10, top 15, then we can start looking at opponents. But I think Kopylov wins this by knockout.
I think like if Frem like showed up on weight or even like had a good decisive performance,
Right.
I would feel a little differently, but I think this is set up like this is too much of a quick turnaround for Frem after that last performance, that
Right.
brutal weight cut.
And yeah, exactly. And he obviously has a tough time making weight, which I always think anybody who has a tough weight cut, aside from our boy Sean Strickland, who had a tough weight cut and dominated, usually a tough weight cut doesn't bode well for that guy or that girl, in the fight. Because it takes a lot out of you. So assuming Josh Frem's probably going to have a tough weight cut again because he's a giant, 6'4", 1.
Yeah.
And he's not a skinny 6'4", 85er. No. He's thick. So it's like he's a dude who, he misses weight again, it's probably going to go up to 205 or get the fuck out kind of a situation.
Yes.
So Kopylov by KO for me on that one. Yeah. And then our featured fight on the prelims, and these things are on ESPN Plus. Another favorite of mine at women's strawweight, Lupi Godinez versus Elise Reed, and I love Lupi Godinez, man. I love watching her fight. She's a fun fight to watch. Both coming off wins, obviously. The stats are pretty much the same across the board as far as their tail of the tape type shit. Lupi's a decision machine, but that's because she's a grappler. You know what I mean? And but she makes it a fun. There's wet blanket grapplers and then there's fun grapplers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Lupi's got almost a 50% takedown accuracy, 81% takedown defense. And Elise Reed's a grappler too. Somewhat.
Yeah.
Wait, what do we got in significant
I think
strikes?
she's more in the striking realm.
Yeah, I think she's a little more well-rounded as far as the way she fights. But Lupi kills her on takedown average because even though Elise has some grappling acumen, she's got like a 0.6 takedown average, so she's definitely not taking Lupi down. She's going to try to keep this thing standing, and Lupi's going to take it down and mop her up, I think.
Yeah. I'm going with Lupi, dude.
By decision, you think? What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if anything, like, if we had to pull her on a pick, dude, like, I would literally just ride the money line, like.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but that's how it's got. Sometimes it's hard to even bet money lines on women's fights for us because we've lost so much money on women's MMA. So it's like I can't pick a finish style. We got to just go with the money line. So we got Lupi in that one. Moving on to the main card. First fight on the main card. We got Fernando Padilla versus Kyle Nelson. This whole card might as well be called Mexico versus Canada, dude.
Yeah, pretty much.
Both guys coming off wins. Both guys pretty much identical in their readouts on their tail of the tape. Padilla's he's a submission guy.
Yeah.
He's has quite a few knockdowns for a submission guy. He's got a freaking 11.8 strikes landed per minute average. He's got a 68% significant strike average. So for a guy who's got so many submission victories, he's definitely got stand-up to worry about too.
Yeah.
And Kyle Nelson's just kind of he's one of those Canadians. They just it's like they're all just kind of mini GSPs. I feel like coming out of Canada, it's just the well-rounded fighter kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they're not special at nothing, but they're just well-rounded. What do you think about these guys?
So, dude, like since they're so like kind of closely matched up, like looking at like their past their past wins. Like Kyle Nelson beat Blake Builder,
Right.
which that was a frustrating fight. Like we saw that and we were like, come on, like,
Right.
what the hell are you doing, man? Like,
Right.
And Fernando Padilla like won, or like starched Julian Erosa, and I think Julian Erosa is a better fighter than Blake Builder.
I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, Fernando Padilla, dude, like I think he'll take it. I'm not sure. He'll probably do his club and sub,
Right.
I think Kyle Nelson's a lot more durable. Like he might it might be just strikes to lead up to the submission.
Which I mean, and that's Fernando's bread and butter right there.
Yeah.
Is piece him up, knock him down, or piece him up, take him down, get a submission, and I would say that that's probably going to happen.
Yeah. If you're doing props, dude, like honestly, like I don't know what saved me more than just picking within the distance because it covers
so much
submission and KOs.
It's hard. It's hard when you see those big numbers on those finish bets, though, dude.
But then when you look at it, like say, like if it's like you're already looking at these wild payouts, right? And so like if you take the double chance or you take the within the distance and it's only like maybe 50-70 points off, just take the within the distance, save yourself that much more of a sweat.
Right.
You're still gonna sweat regardless, but like
yeah,
if the finish happens, you're gonna be happy regardless.
You know what, if you're not sweating, you ain't betting. That's another t-shirt right there, dude, because what's the point of making a goddamn bet unless you're going to be biting your fingernails over it, dude? There's no fun in that. It's all about that adrenaline dump, dude,
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Men's lightweight division. We got Mexico versus U.S. in this one. Mexico's Daniel Zellhuber versus the United States in Christos Giagos. Both coming off wins.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got on these guys?
This is interesting because everyone is picking Zellhuber, but Gallegos has the experience. And where's this guy? Okay, so this guy's a Californian dude. I think is he Brazilian? I don't. He might be. He trains at Black House in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be Brazilian. Black House, renowned Black House, freaking Junior Dos Santos, Anderson Silva, and the Nogueira brothers.
Right, solid camp. So you're training with killers all day long.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Gallegos, man. Yeah, I'm gonna fade the public here because I'm not really too much like Zellhuber's an extreme couture guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. I'll get you some in a little bit. And yeah, like what is it? His last one was Lando Venata.
Right, which is, journeyman style.
Yeah, he lost to Trey Ogden. So you look at their losses, like Trey Ogden hasn't really won fights or progressed after that win.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I hope is Gallegos a dog?
The UFC in true fashion does not have any odds up today for anybody.
So sweet.
Yeah, thanks a lot. They just have the better they just have the better graphics for show purposes. That's why I'm on here. It's easier for me to have the fighter graphics up. But yeah, they're shitty on odds. So check your local listing for odds on these guys. Alexis will give us his picks later this week, or not. As this comes out, Alexis will have his picks for us, and I'll make sure I add the odds to the graphics as I always do because I get those straight off of our betting site. All right, moving on to our Alexis's boy, Raul Rosas Jr. Old smash face. Old
freaking McDonald's moon guy from the 90s.
Raul Rosas Jr. versus Terrence Mitchell, both coming off losses. Raul Rosas, with all the hype train he had behind him, coming off a real embarrassing loss because he got manhandled. So this is, got to be a bounce back fight for him. If nothing else, he needs to put on at least a better performance. What do you think? What do you think he's got for Terrence Mitchell?
Terrence Mitchell, he's a ground game dude. Dude, if you look at his past things, besides his loss to Cameron Simon, the other prospect coming out of South Africa, which he lost to ground by ground and pound. Everything else is like rear naked choke, arm triangle, rear naked choke.
Right.
He has one head kick knockout, punches and elbows, but a lot of rear naked chokes. And seeing that and looking at Raul Rosas in his last outing, I don't think it's gonna go well for Raul Rosas.
Yeah, I mean, after that performance by him last time, that was borderline pathetic. Like
what the, sorry,
oh no, it's fine.
My pet is.
I just I really, one loss obviously doesn't define a fighter.
No,
but it's not like he wasn't supposed to win that fight, and not only did he not win, he literally got embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? And that's hard. One, it's hard to come back from, especially when you're young and you think you're the shit, and then you just get totally dominated. And then you got a guy who's going to come out and literally probably going to fight you the same way as that guy who just dominated you. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go with the hype train, but I don't think that nose has no place at the top of the rankings. Sorry, Raul. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. I think I'm with you. I think I'm fading Raul in this one.
Dude, to be honest, I faded him. I faded him the first fight into the UFC. I was like, he's gonna lose this one because he's such a young kid,
right?
And like the UFC lights, and he won. And then I took him, and then Perrin just made him look, or no, not Perrin, but the other guy. I already went lost the page. Christian Rodriguez
just made him look like he definitely shouldn't be there. And
dude, this guy has double the fights of Raul Rosas Jr.
Right.
So I mean, dude, I can't go against that. Like,
right. And Raul's at the point where his hype train was moving so fast they can't not put him on main cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I think he will. I think he won't be on a main card after this one if he gets fucking mopped up again. How long are those Contender Series contracts? 3 fights? 4 fights? Like, what are they? Because, geez Louise.
I don't know. Like, we've seen fighters get cut after 2. You know,
that's true. It doesn't really matter how long your freaking contract is. So if he gets embarrassed again, it's going to be hard for the UFC to book him against anybody of note.
At least, like, we'll see Raul Rosas if he loses this fight. Like, we'll see him again. But if
he goes and fixes his nose and comes back with a different name and stuff, like, oh, we don't even recognize. We don't recognize that guy. That's a new guy. All right, moving on to the co-main event, welterweight bout. This is going to be a good one. Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena. Dude, I'm excited for this one. This is one I've been real excited for. Both guys coming off losses. Kevin Holland kind of putting it back together after that, after a couple dominating losses. What do you think? What do you think? Jack's on the way up. Kevin Holland's been there.
Dude, I'm torn, man. I first seen this, I was like, let's go Jack. But then, like, Kevin kind of has some ground skills that,
and I just love Kevin Holland. I love the guy.
Yeah.
Like, people think he's annoying and talking during fights and all that. I just got done on the live show talking about how during wrestling matches I would sing songs at motherfuckers just because it's just like, it's funny. It's like, it's funny, it's entertaining, but also anything you can do to make the other guy have a what the fuck is going on moment is a moment they're not thinking about beating you, right? And like, if that's something you can do while still performing, I love everything about Kevin Holland, dude. He seems like a dude that would get along with me, and you know how I feel about those type of guys. I bet on him every time. And he does have wicked submissions, you know.
Yes. Yeah, I think the range, even though last week range doesn't mean anything,
Right.
like if you have a good game plan, but I think Kevin Holland's range and just his accuracy will get him the win, dude.
And I think he just needs to. Kevin Holland fights better when he uses not just all ground game, but when he, I'll say it, not to say well-rounded too many times in one show, but when he uses that more of a well-rounded style, right? Because you've seen what happens when he goes out there and just agrees with Wonder Boy to strike. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Like, you don't need to do. You could have taken Wonder Boy down and submitted him.
He could have won that fight,
and
easily.
You'd already be in title contention if that would have happened. You know what I mean? And it's like Kevin Holland, because he is the part entertainer, that's something you got to worry about. You know what I mean? And but if he goes out there and he stands up with Jack just for the reason to open up a spot to get him to the ground, he wins this fight. He probably submits him. But if he goes out there and just, we're going to go out there and just have a kickboxing match, then everything's even.
Yeah. And honestly, we do have a bias. Like, we have a Peak One Sports fighter that trains with Kevin Holland.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's
Chad
great.
Box. Shout
Dude,
out to you, man.
The list of guys that Chad Box trains with or has trained with, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And he was a tag team with Stephen Bonner in WWF style wrestling, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? That's pretty tight. But yeah, dude. So for those reasons, I got to go Kevin Holland on this one.
Kevin Holland all the way.
Kevin Holland inside the distance, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Not gonna pick an outcome. All right, dude. Our main event. We're here live on ESPN Plus. Main card starts at 7 p.m. Saturday, September 16th. Noche UFC live from the T-Mobile Arena. Alexa Grasso defending her title from the woman she won it from, Valentina "Bullet" Shevchenko. Not a lot needs to be said about Valentina Shevchenko. She's a bad bitch, and she should always be the favorite, I guess. You know what I mean? But
yes.
Alexa Grasso showed her what's up last fight, dude. And I think if Alexa fights the same fight, I think we're gonna see the same result. What do you think?
I just hope she fights a little better, man. Because I mean, Alexa Grasso has great stand up. Her ground game is pretty slick, as you know, like, because she choked. Like, she didn't even choke her out under the chin. Like, it was just a squeeze over the
like
chin.
a face crank
and, like,
kind of thing.
Yeah, face crank. And, like, you saw the color change from Valentina's forehead to, like, where her chin was at.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go with Grasso.
I'm going to go, I think, I say Grasso by submission again.
Shevchenko's been my UFC crush, for a long time.
Well, why not? I mean, whatever. I mean, obviously in women's MMA, it helps being good looking, but also it helps just being a total badass, dude. And like, literally the only before Alexa Grasso was only the 1A best ever Amanda Nunes, and now obviously on the GOAT of women's MMA, Amanda Nunes.
Yeah,
like, I was the only person who could solve the Shevchenko problem, and Alexa Grasso showed us that she could do it. And like you said, that wasn't even her best. What Alexa Grasso's best. So if we can get her best, I think the same thing happens again.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll finish, but I think it will be more back and forth, and maybe she wins by decision. Hopefully, or Valentina comes out and just
starches her,
with just some crazy just kicks,
right?
But Valentina's mostly like a pointish fighter.
That's what I'm saying. And in her last few victories, Valentina had more of a feeling out type process type thing than, it wasn't just a straight up aggression fest. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that gives Alexa Grasso opportunities to open up the grappling. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think Valentina, it would behoove her to come out and just come out aggressive. Come out with aggressive strikes, aggressive kicks, high kicks. Just, come out with some flashy shit to kind of knock Grasso off of her early game plan. You know what I mean? Because Shevchenko, even though she's been dominant, like you said, she's got more of a point style. And as of late, she's been a slow starter almost, So
Yes.
that all points to a Grasso victory if we see that same fight style out of Valentina. But just I think Grasso.
I think Grasso too. Like I mostly want to see like, so this whole like aura of Shevchenko being unbeatable in Grasso's eyes is gone, right?
Right.
I want to see Grasso's boxing, like, 'cause, like she has like the super high guard, and she's really long in her combinations, and like she's long in her reach. So I want to see that, and I think now since she's the champion, like she beat her, she might have a confidence. So we're probably going to see more of that. I think she has that edge in the boxing. Not necessarily kicks, but
right. But in like your
boxing,
your fundamental boxing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think you're right about that, dude. That's a card.
Yeah.
Check it out,
And I
guys.
think Valentina should go back up since Amanda Nunes is gone.
Yeah, I think that's the move after this fight.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if she wins, she's probably gonna stay, but if she loses, she definitely needs to just go up, and I feel like she'll dominate up there without Amanda
Or if
Nunes.
she wins, she should just move up anyways,
Right.
Like,
either way, double champ it.
Yeah.
All right, dude. That's a show.
Yep. I will do a video for picks.
Right.
And
If you're watching this right now, go check the social media for the Bungalow Sports Show, Peak One Sports, and you will see Alexis's beautiful punum just talking about what our picks are this week, because we all know I fall where Alexis goes, I go when it comes to picks, because it turns out successful most of the time, and you guys should too. So we'll have a graphic up with the picks, we'll have a video up with the picks, and we'll all be watching on Saturday night as Noche UFC goes down. So thanks for joining me, buddy. As always, it's a pleasure. Thanks everybody for watching, and enjoy the fight.
All right.